Today, I'm going to teach you how you can go from zero to being a full-time music producer in just 90 days. I'm going to give you 3 strategies that I've used myself to make money as a producer, and these are strategies that can get you paid even if you don't have a shit ton of followers. If you're wondering why you should listen to me, I've made over $1 million selling type beats and sample packs online, and about a year ago when I gave a lot of this advice to my boy Daniel Saint, he went from making $300 to $500 a month all the way to making over $3,000 a month, which is crazy. So I definitely know that this stuff does work. If you stick around till later on in the video, I'm going to go over my exact schedule and game plan that I would use if I was starting from zero. I do have one huge disclaimer though. You need to be good at making music for any of these strategies to work. And fuck being good, you need to be exceptional if you really want these to work effectively and you actually want to be able to go full time as a producer. There are thousands of okay producers who are just kind of lost in this sea of mediocrity, complaining that everything is oversaturated and all this stuff. But one of my favorite sayings is there's always room at the top. So if you're truly amazing at making music, you can definitely make this work. With all that out of the way, let's get into this. So a lot of these strategies that I'm going to talk about rely heavily on networking with bigger producers, companies, and stuff like that. So other than actually having good music, there's one key thing you need to know before you get into this. You need to make your Instagram profile look good. Your Instagram nowadays is like your resume as a producer. If you were to apply to a job with a blank resume that has no achievements, no past work, and nothing describing yourself as a person, imagine how stupid you would look to the person reading those resumes when you're trying to work for that company. Obviously, you have little to no chance of getting the job. And your Instagram profile is no different. If you want to get replies from bigger people who are doing dope shit, you need to make your profile look like you are doing dope shit as well. And I know a lot of people don't like the fact that you kind of have to play this game to be able to get responses, but it's just kind of how it goes. So you can choose to fight it and get angry that it doesn't work, or you can play the game and potentially see some success. You need to get over the fear of posting your face online. I used to be super camera shy. I would hide my face in all the pictures that I posted of myself. I didn't like being on camera, but over time I got more used to it and now it really doesn't faze me. So get over the fear of posting yourself on social media. Post some pictures of you in the studio, whether that's at your home studio or in a real studio. Post some hard fit pics or just anything to help people put a face to your name. And also, you want to make sure that your profile isn't an endless void of these black screen recordings of you showing off your beats or type beat visualizers with the rappers' music videos, or your page is going to look super spammy and not something that bigger producers and people are going to want to work with. Anyways, now that you've hopefully fixed your profile or at least thought about what you can do to fix it, let's get into the first strategy you can use to start making money. BeatStars collab sales. I know I've been beating this one into your guys' heads, but it's because it works and I truly believe in it. But just in case you need a refresher or you've never heard of this, let me explain how it works. So pretty much the business model in a nutshell is you're going to collab with big YouTube type beat producers or big top sellers on BeatStars. And when you collab and work on beats with them, you're going to get a 50% split of the sales that they make. And essentially you don't need to have a big brand at all other than having a solid looking page so you can actually network with these bigger producers, because they've already got the big brand. They've already got customers who are buying their beats. And since you're getting a split of that, you can kind of leverage their audience and then also work with a ton of those big producers and leverage all of their audiences so that you can bring in an income without having a huge audience and customer base yourself. So now that you kind of have the gist of what it is, let's get into specifics on how I would actually use this strategy starting from zero right now. So the first part of the strategy is obviously actually finding the producers to work with that you're going to send loops to, collab with, and all that kind of stuff. So the first place that I would start is I would just go on and head over to YouTube right here. And then once you're here, you got to think of what is your kind of sound. Like if you had to put a group of artists to your type of music that you're very, very good at making, think of that. And then you're going to look up that artist type beat. So for example, I love making soul samples. That's like my bread and butter. That's what people really like from me. So I'm going to look up G Herbo soul sample type beat. All right. And then from here, you can see that there's a ton of producers who are popping up. And so what I would do is I would go through and go to all of these people's profiles, just go on their videos. And a lot of these people are going to have their Instagram. Yep. So here's this guy's Instagram right here. So you can copy the link and then save that into a note that I'll talk about a little bit later. Or if they don't have their Instagram right there, you can go on their profile and then they might have it in the more about this channel section. Click more. They might have an email address or some kind of website link or Instagram link. And then you can go from there and try to find their Instagram that you can hit them up on. Personally, I would definitely recommend going for the Instagram to DM them. And then on the same level, let's go and look at BeatStars. There are people who really don't have big YouTubes who are selling a lot of beats on BeatStars, and you would definitely want to collab with these people as well. So you're gonna go to tracks right here, top charts, and these are gonna be the beats that are the top selling beats. You're gonna see all the beats that are at the top of the charts selling the most, and all these people are gonna be producers that you're gonna want to reach out and send to. Obviously though, you don't want to just hit up every single one of these people if you don't have stuff that fits their vibe. Like for example, I do not make Lil Peep, Juice WRLD type beats at all, so it doesn't make any sense for me to hit up this dude. So if we're kind of going along with the same niche that I had in mind, like soul sample, what I might do right here is I might press Command F in your browser, and then it brings up this tab where you can just search a word on the page, and I might just look up soul. Boom. So right here, it's highlighting the word soul on here. So if you make emotional beats or R&B or trap or whatever, you can just look up that kind of stuff so that you don't need to look through every single profile. But honestly, I would look through every single profile just to get an idea for who all these people are to study the game. But right here, I see soul. So I'm going to be like, oh, okay, he likes soulful shit. I'm going to listen to this beat and be like, this sounds like the stuff that I have would fit on his page. And then from there, I might be like, okay, like let's look deeper into his stuff to see if that was just one random beat. And then I start listening, and I'm like, oh shit, like yeah, he would definitely like some soul samples, and he's got 7 million plays on here and 20,000 followers on BeatStars. This guy's definitely getting sales. I should definitely hit this guy up. And then if you scroll down right here, after you decided that you want to send to this guy, you can find his Instagram. So anyways, once you found those people on BeatStars and YouTube that you want to work with, you're going to want to put all the producers that you found to work with, maybe write down what niche they were in, and make a huge list on your notes app, a spreadsheet. It really doesn't matter. And once you've got all that, of course, you want to make sure you actually have some loops, some ideas, whatever you want to collaborate with them on. But honestly, I think loops is the best place to start. You can eventually move to just sending them beat ideas that they can add some final touches to and post as their own, or just straight up post as their own. But when you're first starting out, I think just sending melody loops is the best way to go. It's the easiest way to collab. And once you got the music ready and you've got your list of people that you want to hit up, there's nothing else to do but to actually follow through and try to network with them. But I see a lot of people making mistakes here and just shooting off a DM that says, yo, or let's work. So if you want to increase your chances, you need to be a little bit more interesting with your messages. And I know everyone always says that, but they don't tell you what to say. So I'm going to give you 3 example messages that I personally use myself and that I would use if I was in your situation. The first one, I know personally from working with these type beat producers and top seller producers for a long time, that a lot of them are very analytical and they're really trying to chase that top selling beat again. So if I was on BeatStars right here, I might see that this dude, Rob Evan, literally the #1 top selling beat on BeatStars is Get Rich. So whenever I hit up this guy, I might take a listen to that beat and be like, you know what? I actually have like 5 or 10 loops that sound pretty similar to this and are like just as fire or whatever. In your message to him, you can hit him up and be like, yo, I've got a bunch of crazy loops like Get Rich. Would love to send some vibes. Let me know where to send them. Something super short and simple like that, but it has that extra bit of like, you took the time to actually look at their catalog and try to provide them value. So that's the first thing you could do. Second thing you could do is if you have something a little bit more valuable to your sound, like me as an example, I hire session musicians, gospel choirs, vocalists, all this stuff to make my soul loops really sound like they're real authentic soul loops. So whenever I DM new people, I might be like, yo, I make 100% original soul samples with real gospel choirs and session musicians. Would love to send some over to you. Let me know where to send them. One other tip that I actually got kind of put onto is sending voice messages. Some people get annoyed at sending voice messages, and I could definitely see that. But if you're not finding success with just like text DMing people, sending a voice message is a lot more intriguing. And from here, you're just going to want to go down the list and start hitting up all these people. And I'm just going to prepare you. You're going to get very little responses when you're first starting, especially if you don't have a lot of followers or big placements, or if your profile looks horrible. You just need to stay consistent. It took me months, maybe even over a year, to build up a super big list of people. At the end of the day, it's a numbers game. You're going to have to hit up a ton of producers if you want to see actual results and actual good money coming in. But with that aside, you are hopefully going to get some responses. And when you do, I think there's a couple key things you need to do. As soon as they give you the email or tell you to send stuff to their number or whatever it is, you need to immediately follow up with a pack right when you're at the top of their mind. In this pack, you want to send this person a personalized pack of like your 3 to 5 best, craziest, mind-blowing loops that you can send for that specific producer. So once you've sent the first initial pack to these people, you're going to want to put their email onto your list and start sending 1 loop a day to everyone on your list. And one thing that I see a lot of people doing that I just don't think is very effective is using BCC. Even though they're blind copied and they can't see all the other people it was sent to, they can see that it was a BCC email, and it just comes off like you're sending it to 600-700 other producers, and it just doesn't feel as genuine, like you're sending them a loop personally. So instead, you're gonna wanna send out the loop emails individually. And to do this, I use Mail Suite and I use their campaign feature. So essentially, I put my list inside of Google Sheets. So I'll pretty much just drag in one MP3 file per day right here. And then I go up here to this campaign feature, and then I click on personalized campaign, and then I can click on any of these spreadsheets that I've made. So I have different lists for different genres that I create, and I'll press import data. And now it's gonna send to all 45 of those recipients completely separate emails, and they're not gonna see that it was sent to anyone else. It will just look like I sent them a personal message myself. And you might be wondering, why would I send one loop every day? Doesn't that come off as annoying? The answer is yes, if your music sucks. But if you have amazing loops, getting them every day is like the best thing in the world, because those people always need high quality loops and ideas to work on. So if you're always supplying it, you're providing them value, you're not coming off as spammy. Also, if you only send like one Dropbox link or something like that every week, what are the chances that they're on their computer ready to work right at that moment and see the Dropbox and then actually download the Dropbox link and go through all the ideas you sent? It's pretty much no chance that that's going to happen. If you have one loop at a time, that's a lot easier to listen to and consume. And if you're in their inbox every single day, that gives you 7 chances a week versus 1 chance a week for them to see it and actually use something. So once you start sending out to people and you've built a solid smaller list, you're going to want to expand your list. Like I said, this is a numbers game. You want to have hundreds of people on your list, but that can seem kind of daunting and like, how the fuck do I find all these people? So let me show you how I would go about expanding your list. So let's go with the niche that I was talking about earlier with soul samples. So even if my soul samples to me sound like super like they're like G Herbo street soul samples, to someone else they might sound like a Kanye college dropout soul sample. So instead of only attacking G Herbo soul sample type beat, I would go in and find G Herbo, Meek Mill, Drake, Rick Ross, Benny the Butcher, any artist that you can hear your stuff on. If it's flipped a little bit differently, they could use your loops if they're high quality and they're really, really good stuff. And once you're sending to a couple 100, 300 producers every single day, you're gonna start seeing so many collabs roll in. And eventually, once all those collabs are rolling in, the sales are gonna start coming like crazy. At my height, I was making anywhere from like 20 to 30K a month alone on BeatStars collab sales. So in one of the first months I tried this, I made $315 in collab sales, which is by no means a mind-blowing number. The next month I made $640 in collab sales, then $600, $950, so almost $1,000 a month on just the collab sales, over $1,000, $1,800, almost $3,000. So in the span of like 6 months, I went from making $300 with this strategy to making almost $3,000 with this strategy. And from there, it started to double and go crazy every month. And within 6 months from then, I was making around 30K a month doing this. So I 100% know this works. And I know other producers who are super good producers who have taken this strategy and gone from making 0 to making 5K in a month within like a month or two of starting this strategy. So it is 100% possible if your stuff is good, which is the caveat for all of the strategies in this video. And I know I've talked about this strategy a lot, but if you haven't really tried it yourself and like actually stayed consistent for 3-4 months, maybe even a year, you really should. Side note, for all the guys who want to make money with full beats and you don't make melodies yourself, I'm going to have you with the last strategy. But for now, let's get into the second strategy. We've got selling sample packs, drum kits, loop kits, etc. But not in the traditional way you might be thinking of, where you post your own loop kit, run Instagram ads, and try to build your own sample company like that. Don't get me wrong, I think building your own brand is a much better long-term play, but just for the purpose of this video, this is what I would do. Essentially, since if you're starting from 0, you don't have your own brand and a bunch of customers that are going to be buying your packs, you're going to try to kind of use the same business model as the BeatStars collab sales, but instead you're going to be using it with sample packs. So you're going to try to hit up these big sample pack companies to either do custom work and get paid just per sound to help them work on their kits, submit your kits. A lot of places will do 50-50 splits on the sales that the kit makes, or you could submit your kits and a lot of places will buy you out, so they'll just pay you an upfront fee to be able to sell your kit on their website and make all the profit for themselves on it. But in a nutshell, you're just going to try to get your sample packs, your preset packs, vocal kits, whatever you make, posted on bigger sample selling platforms so that you can kind of borrow their brand and their customers to make money for yourself. The first thing I would do is I would find a bunch of big YouTubers who are putting out kits. So like people that come to mind are like me, Loner, Prod by Jack, Ocean, J Cactus. I would find a bunch of those people, and I would also find a bunch of sample companies. So for example, I own Sonics.audio. There's Producer Grind, Cymatics, Producer Crate, Waves.com. There's a ton of different sites out there. And if you need help finding more sites sites that are a little bit more low key, I would just recommend every time you get a loop pack ad on Instagram, follow the company and make a note of them. So anyways, you want to make a list of their socials, their emails, whatever you can find on the company on their website. A lot of companies are going to have an email on their page or an Instagram that you can hit up. So anyways, you want to get a list of all of their contact information, just like I was talking about with building your network of BeatStars producers to work with. And from here, you want to check out these sites and see what kind of sample packs and loop kits, drum kits, all that stuff that they're putting out. And then from there, you're going to want to make packs that feel like they would fit this site's aesthetic, sound, all this kind of stuff. Or if you've already got stuff that fits, that's even better. But I will say you want to make sure that your pack is attention grabbing. And this all comes down to actually making great music. If you have something unique, like you make original soul samples with live instruments and vocals, you play the drums, you play the flute, you sing, and you can do custom vocal kits, this kind of stuff is more valuable. As someone who actually runs one of these sample companies, whenever someone hits me up and they have an actual talent, I'm a lot more likely to actually respond and maybe work with them. So now, assuming that you've got some good unique kits put together, you're going to actually need to DM or email these people with your pitch. Something that I would definitely avoid is just asking them, yo, where do I submit kits for your site? For example, if I was starting this out, since I make soul samples, I would say something like, yo, I've got 100% original soul compositions with real gospel choirs and live instruments, whatever, that I think would fit perfectly on your website. Where can I send the kit to maybe submit it to be sold on your store? Like something that like adds a little oomph to it, you know? From there, a lot of places are going to offer you a 50-50 split. So essentially they'll just post it. Maybe the split is a different percentage, but they'll just post it and you'll get 50% of the sales that it makes on their website. So if it does really well, you'll make a lot of money. And if it does really bad, you'll make no money. But there are some companies that are not going to want to give splits. And instead, what I would propose for this is having them buy you out of the kit. So you don't want to sell them the kit exclusively to where it can only be sold on their website. Instead, if you are going to be doing a buyout where you don't get any revenue share, you want to sell them the kit non-exclusively so that you can go to these other sample platforms and sell it on your own and actually make sales on your BeatStars selling your kits or your kit website or any of that, and make money multiple times from selling it on different platforms and not just giving it exclusively to one platform for a few $100. And I'll get into realistically how much money I think that you can make with all this stuff in a second. But another thing I want to mention is if you do like sing, you have a good voice, you play live instruments, you do something that stands out, you can also hit up sample makers who are selling kits or companies that are selling kits and tell them that you'll do custom live flutes, custom vocals, custom whatever for any kit that they're working on. And then from here, you might end up making a collab kit with some of these people and getting a 50-50 kind of split kind of deal. You might get a smaller split if you're just helping with some of the sounds, or they might just pay you per sound. But if you've got a solid working relationship with like 3 to 5 of these companies where you're selling individual sounds to them consistently, you can actually make a good income off of that. And then finally, another thing that I can think of to get your foot in the door with these companies, and this is actually something I did to make a connection with my best friend Jacob, who runs Software Audio, is you can make a fully edited video or ad for them completely for free without them asking for it to promote one of their products. So you could go and purchase one of their loop kits, create a super nice video that's fully edited, maybe a couple different variations for them, and just DM them and be like, yo, I made you a bunch of ads for your whatever loop kit completely for free. Like if you want to use these, feel free. So if someone sent me a very good quality ad, I would instantly want to just talk to that person and potentially give them opportunities because I feel like they did me a favor and I want to do them a favor back. But anyways, with all of these kind of strategies with selling your sample packs, doing custom vocals, or you could even do all this with drum kits as well, how much money can you really make from this? So let's say you land a pack on one website and it does $300 in sales and you have a 50-50 split with them. You get $150 that month with that company. Let's say you took that same pack, everyone was loving that pack. You also gave it to another company that didn't want to give you splits and they just paid you $300 to buy the kit out so that they can sell it on their website and keep all the sales on their website. Now you just made $450 that month off of that kit without posting it yourself. Let's say you landed the pack on another website that did $100 in sales, so you get $50 there. You can see how you can start to maybe get to a point where you're making $1,000, $2,000 a month. And each of these small little pieces aren't going to be life-changing, crazy amounts of money. But when you add up all the slices of the pie and keep building every month on top of it, you can start to see some real money coming in, especially as you get good working relationships with these companies. Personally, I've had people that have made $2,000 to $3,000 a month just off of selling their kits on my website. And there are a ton of other sample libraries other than myself that are doing these numbers, crazier numbers, and there's even more that are doing smaller numbers. So do your research, find a bunch of these brands and start hitting them them up consistently and trying to add value to their brand in exchange for an upfront payment or a split or something like that. All right, now the next one is for everyone who wants to sell their full beats, not melody loops, not sample packs, presets, all this stuff. And we've got the OG strategy of cold DMing rappers. And this strategy gets a bad rap, and don't get me wrong, I can see why. You get the I get paid on Friday texts, you have to DM 100 rappers a day, which is not fun, but it 100% works. There's a reason why in every industry people do cold reach outs, cold calls. It's boring, but it's effective. All right, so the first part of the strategy, obviously you're going to need to find rappers to actually work with in DM. So I'm gonna screen record my phone real quick and show you how I would do this. All right, so what I would do is I would find a big beat seller that is in your niche. First person that comes to mind, I make a lot of Drake R&B stuff. I'm just gonna look up my boy Pale 1080 because he probably has a lot of these followers right here that are actual rappers who've been buying his beats and are his customers. So essentially what you're gonna do from here is you're just gonna scroll through all of these followers and you're gonna try to do research on which of these people are artists and which of these people look like serious artists. Right here, I might go, okay, he's got a trailer for a tape. And then I would go through and listen to his stuff and be like, okay, this guy does sound like he would actually use my beats. And I would do the same thing as I was mentioning earlier and just put him in a list. So now that you've actually found these rappers, you need to actually DM them. And one huge mistake that I can see you making is just DMing them and being like, yo, buy my beats. So what you want to do is actually listen to a few of their songs and then DM them complimenting the song. And there's a couple different things that you could do here to make it feel more genuine. So you could be like, yo, I really liked your song Higher, and I really liked the part where you said, and then you can quote some of their lyrics was fire as fuck. Or you could be like, your flow on the second verse was crazy, or something like that seems genuine, like you actually listen to their stuff. And don't get me wrong, it is a grind to actually go through and make a more personalized message, which is why most people don't do it, because it's not easy. And then once you get the response from that rapper, where they're probably saying thank you, whatever, blah blah blah, you're gonna be like, yo bro, I actually have a bunch of beats I think you would really fuck with. And then send them a link to like 2 or 3 of your best beats that you think fit the sound that they're going for. And you can either send them the BeatStars link, the YouTube link, just try to create more of a relationship with them so it doesn't seem so transactional. From there, you just want to rinse and repeat that same exact strategy with a shit ton of rappers. Now, as you kind of build up your following, because a lot of these rappers are going to end up following you back, people are going to end up purchasing, and hopefully if you've got good stuff and you've maintaining a relationship with them, you're going to grow a customer base of people who want to buy beats from you. And this is where another thing that I used to do all the time can come into play. You can start to run EP deals on your Instagram stories. And you could essentially post like, yo, like if you want me to produce your whole album, your whole mixtape, your whole EP or whatever, I'm doing deals today only. And then you could give them 5 beats for $150 for unlimited leases. So it's a huge discount, but it's still a good amount of money for you. If you were able to close that 10 times a month, that would be $1,500 alone off of just that deal, not including other small lease sales, big exclusive sales, other streams of income, and all that kind of stuff. And then along with EP deals, I wouldn't recommend this long term, but short term, if you just need to get started making money, I got this tip from my boy Scott Zilla, who's actually making a great living right now just selling his beats with his YouTube channels and DMing rappers and posting on his story and stuff like that. But he always talks about how you need to treat your beats as a product, not as some like crazy art that you made that you're like super protective of. Don't get me wrong, it is art at the end of the day, but if you're trying to treat this as a business, being in that artist mentality is not going to serve you. You need to think like a business person. So he'll occasionally do deals where he sells like custom exclusive beats for like $100, which is a great deal. And again, if you do 10 of those a month, you'll be making $1,000 a month just off working one-on-one with rappers. And another tip, especially if you're trying to sell more like high ticket products, you could change your business model to DMing rappers that seem super qualified. You can tell they're serious. They have professional music videos. I've seen this strategy from this dude, I think his name's Kobe on Instagram, where he will actually get them on a one-on-one Zoom call and like play them beats and kind of like have a session on Zoom and then try to close them on an exclusive deal for like $500, $1,000 exclusives on their beats. And the upside of this is you need to get a lot less people to convert than you do if you're just hoping that people buy a $30 lease. And by the way, if you make all your melodies from scratch and you actually make beats with all your melodies, the great thing is that you can do all 3 of these things at the same time, which is personally what I'd be doing. Don't get me wrong, you could choose any of these lanes, but it might be smarter to start at first doing all of them, see what kind of takes off, and then cut off the other ones and just focus on that thing that's working. And also, I just want to mention the strategies that I've just mentioned are great, but I don't think that this should just be your long-term vision of the only thing you're to do is DM 100 rappers a day, try to sell your sample packs on other stores and BeatStars collab sales. BeatStars collab sales, actually could do for a long time. But a lot of these things are more of a short-term move. You're not going to get fucking crazy rich doing them. So I would definitely still recommend like building your own personal brand, building an email list, building a company that's actually yours that you can control and make money on in the future. But I know a lot of you guys are just in a position where you need to make money now. So that's kind of the purpose of this video. And I'm sure you're curious what the exact game plan and schedule that I'm going to give you is, and I'm going to get into that in just 1 second. But first, if you want more in-depth and specific advice on all this kind of stuff, you should 100% check out my new community, Sonic's Academy. Inside of it, I'm doing 2 weekly group calls where I'm going over how to make more money, how to network, how to make better beats, and I'm also having a bunch of platinum producers and industry experts on as guest speakers that you can ask questions, get your beats reviewed by, and all that kind of good stuff. On top of all that, there's over 30 hours of courses and tutorials that you can watch, including one on how I would personally go about trying to make $10,000 a month as a music producer. So if any of that sounds interesting to you at all, it'll be the first link in the description down below to check that out. And I never want to come off as that scam e-commerce course bro, but I really believe there's a ton of really good in-depth information in here that is going to help a lot of producers out. But anyways, back into it. Let's get into the game plan. So personally, I would spend 3 days a week making music. So I'm not worried about any of the business stuff. I might be checking DMs from rappers, but pretty much the primary focus of these days is just going to be making music. I would spend 1 day a week networking and finding new producers to work with for the BeatStars collab sales, and also networking with those bigger sound kit companies and bigger producers to work on their kits as well. And then 3 of the days of the week, I would be DMing rappers all day, trying to sell rappers on my beats, direct one-on-one sales, because that's a super time intensive kind of thing. And if you're focused on only doing drums or only doing loops, you can kind of switch this stuff around. So you could switch it around to 3 days a week you're making beats, and then the other 4 days you're only DMing rappers and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, going with the first example I was talking about, if you're going to try all of these at once, this is kind of how I would structure out a week. So Monday, I would be making loops or beats all day. Personally, I would just lock in on one. Anyways, on Tuesday, I would go on and I would network with producers in those big sound kit companies. On Wednesdays, I would be making beats or loops all day, and I would alternate whichever one you did last, loops or beats. Thursday, I would just be DMing to try to sell rappers. Friday, I would have my last cook up day of the week. Saturday, I would be DMing to sell rappers all day. And then Sunday, I would also be DMing and selling to rappers one-on-one all day long. And then maybe schedule out some time to catch up on some miscellaneous tasks that have just kind of came up through the week. Maybe you forgot to send a pack to someone. All right, and here's my projections for what I think could be realistic with these strategies. I think within 3 months, you could definitely get to the place where you're making $1,000 to $2,000 a month with BeatStars collab sales, assuming that you're actually connecting with a bunch of new producers, you're expanding your list, you've done all the things I've talked about, and your music, I just really want to stress that, is actually very good. I think you can 100% make that happen. For the second, I think that you could definitely make like $500 to $1,000 a month having guest appearances on other people's sample packs or sample libraries with your own packs. This is something that, unless you're working with the top sample pack companies in the game and getting crazy splits and all that kind of stuff, you're not going to get crazy rich doing this, but you can get started making money doing this strategy. And then finally, I think it's completely realistic that you could get $1,000 to $2,000 a month doing cold DM sales. If you think about $1,000 a month doing cold DM sales, if you're doing that 4 days a week, 100 people every single day, that's 400 new rappers a week, which is 1,600 a month. And let's say out of those 1,600, I don't know, 3% will actually convert and buy something. That means you're going to get 48 sales. And assuming that the average price that you're selling for is like $30, you're not getting any crazy exclusive sales. You're going to have $1,400 a month in theory off of just that income stream. So if you also add in BeatStars collab sales, maybe you're also posting your beats on Type Beats, you're also sending drum kits, sample packs, all this stuff to other companies. When you add all this stuff together, you can definitely start to see some real income from your music. Before I go, I've just got a little bit more advice. So first thing I want to say is don't overthink this. Just start doing it. Start DMing the producers to work with, start cooking up consistently and trying to get a bunch of beats and loops done each day that you're cooking up. Start DMing rappers and just get the ball rolling. You're gonna suck at first. The results aren't gonna come easy and they're not gonna come insanely fast right away. But if you stick with this strategy for 90 full days and see no results, you can DM me and tell me I'm a fucking idiot and I'll send you any product that I've ever put out completely for free. And low-key, let's make it a 90-day challenge. So try to stick with it for at least 90 days. You can post your progress inside alongside on my Discord channel. I'll try to make an actual channel inside the Discord where you guys can post updates about what you guys are doing and all this. Maybe we can get a nice little community together. But anyways, if you need some help finding out if your music is good enough and improving your music, make sure to check out the link in the description for the community. We do a bunch of feedback and all that stuff in there. But that's all I got for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.